you today? Today I'm going to be reviewing Just One Damn Thing After Another by Jodi Taylor. This is a sort of combination science fiction, historical fiction, slash, I guess, drama sort of book. Kind of crosses over a lot of genres there. But, and it is about a research facility called St. Mary's, where they have found the key to time travel, and as such they study history. I don't think it's ever clear if they only can time travel backwards. I don't know if they ever make that clear, but that's the only way they travel. Yes. We follow our main protagonist. Her name is Madeline Maxwell. She goes by Max. As she enters into this world and goes through all these new experiences, we get to experience it with her, and it's a lot of fun. If you like a lot of witty British humor type things, then this is a good read for that. But yeah. Okay, the plot itself was not very strong in this. It is definitely, I would say, a character-driven story. The plot was almost like a lot of little moments in time, like a lot of maybe short stories strung together chronologically. There was not really a connecting goal or anything like that in mind. And it was a little bit frustrating for me because at first I was like, okay, this is a lot of fun. And then about halfway through the book, it almost set things up like, okay, here's the main plot. And I was like, oh, okay. Cool. I mean, I didn't think there was going to be a main plot, but I guess this is the main plot now. And then they're like, oh, no, not really. And that's just how I felt towards it. That might not have been the author's intention. It might not be how other people view it. But it was almost like they set up this sort of big, I guess, difficulty, this big sort of enemy, if you will. And then you see it, and then you don't, and then later on you see it again. It just it was a little bit I guess of a tease in that way, and I found it a little bit frustrating, but still enjoyed it enough to enjoy the book. But yeah, the plot mostly seemed like it might have been set up for later books versus a good plot in and of itself, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's almost like it suffered from middle book syndrome, but it was the first book. So so yes. The world building was fascinating. It was basically our world. But with this one aspect very different. And so I guess I would rate the world building on St. Mary's itself, the research institution, which was a lot of fun. It was very interesting to see the sort of little society that they build up themselves, and it was fun to see just the dynamics of the different people, because there are the historians that travel back in time, and then there are the technicians who kind of maintain their time travel machines. Then there's like the security unit, and then there's like the medical unit, and like so even though it's this very small isolated community, it still has so many facets in it. So that was really enjoyable to experience and learn about and see how they interact with each other, how sometimes there's tension about which facet's the most important to this operation, and just fun little things like that. It was enjoyable. I liked the world building for this. And let's see, last but not least, the characters. So it is, this story is told from first person. I didn't realize how long it had been since I've read a first person story until I started reading this, and I was like, oh man, you really get inside this person's head. And because of that, she is so well fleshed out. You get to be privy to pretty much all of her thoughts. Max has a very complicated past, and it's a situation where instead of being like, oh, I have a complicated past, I don't want to talk about it, I'm dark and broody, and that sort of thing, she sort of plays it off as a joke, like, oh man, I can't commit to a relationship because I don't love people, and that's just because I guess I don't have a heart, and like, it's just constantly like played off as a joke. And anytime anything traumatic happens to her, because she is a historian, so she goes back in time to war zones and that sort of thing, and she is really good at laughing things off and kind of pretending like they didn't happen, or they were a lot less scary and traumatic than they actually were. And that's just kind of an aspect of her personality. She was grew up in a not great way, so she had to get this very thick skin and resilience. And it was very interesting to watch her and how she started to learn to process things in a more healthy way as the story went on. And so she's a main character. There's also a few other main characters. There are other historians, and you get to know them because they're like her best friends. She has one particular best friend that I loved. It is a male historian. I have forgotten his name, which is a shame because I really liked him. Oh gosh. But there's a situation where, she has trouble with her love interest, and it is entirely unreasonable and is awful. And her best friend is like, excuse you? I'm sorry. Come on, Max, we're gonna go drink, and we're gonna like fix you, and we're gonna go off and make our own business and like all this stuff. And it's one of those situations where it's a male-female friendship that is wonderful and wholesome, and they're so supportive of each other because they've both been through a lot of similar things. And I really loved that. The relationship dynamics throughout the book are all very satisfying and realistic. As I said, Max has a love interest, and at one point he very unreasonably sort of tells her off. And it's one of those situations where it's a very emotional, visceral reaction to something. And while like at the time that it happens, you're like, what are you doing, you freaking jerk? Because you know a bit about his past, it's not like unreasonable. It's not one of those situations where you're like, this makes no sense. This character's motivations make no sense. No, you know exactly what he's doing. So yes, the characters were probably the strongest. The characters in this book were definitely the strongest point for me. They are the reason why I kept going throughout the whole thing. And they are very realistic. They have their flaws. They have their good moments, their bad moments. But yes, I loved them, and I loved all their dynamics and all the relationship dynamics. There are some really good friendships, and yes. So yes, all in all, I enjoyed this book. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was definitely one that you just don't focus too much on thinking about the time travel and how it happens and that sort of thing. Just have fun and just read it. And and it's great. That's sort of my take on it. I definitely recommend it, especially if you like character-driven plots. If you're looking for a main plot in this, then it's just going to be frustrating, like I was. But I think if I had known there wasn't going to really be a concrete plot, I would have enjoyed it more. But yeah, that's my review. I hope that it was helpful to you. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you around.